Are you trying to dominate your fantasy football league? Do you want so many championship rings it's impossible to sign autographs? Well, crack open a beer, pour yourself a glass of bourbon, and settle in, because you've come to the right place. Welcome to Hammercast.
And welcome into Hammercast. It is Bo McBig time. It's also Spicy Stacks time. It's Friday night, and from what I understand, Bo, you're just kind of sipping on some Mountain Dew tonight. What's going on?
Yeah, we, my wife and I were enjoying our anniversary yesterday out at the casino, and so we were going pretty hard. You know, had a great time. We were pretty successful and lucky at the casino, so it was a good time. And But we're in a pretty bad way, so we went and dropped a little bit at Taco Bell. That's why I got some Mountain Dew Baja Blast, because I'm a complete degenerate, and this is my fuel for building some DFS lineups now.
Well, you know what? You got to do what you got to do, man. You're a survivor.
Sugar and caffeine, baby.
I'm hitting a little single barrel, Four Roses.
Oh, I love that. That's one of my favorite.
Was doing a little in prep work with the Weller Old Fashions.
So
I was missing my Luxardo cherries, but yeah, I live in a country town, man. I couldn't find any in the last.
I got lucky. I found a 2-pack of Luxardo cherries. So like $30 for one little jar of them, but they go a long way. I mean, you're only using 1 or 2 for each drink, so they go a long way for the $30.
Spectacular.
They're the best by far. It's not even close.
It's almost like having LT in his heyday versus having Aaron Hayden.
Right.
You know, think about that.
Well, and what really it reveals, Luxardo cherries reveal just how bad the other maraschino cherries are, because they're so good by comparison. And then I got a 2-pack at Costco. Somehow my Costco got in 2 packs of Luxardo cherries for $28. So I got 2 jars for $28.
That's amazing. That's a good price, because typically you're paying $20 for 1 jar.
Yep.
And so at least here you are, but
they're 30.
I got to drive an hour to get them.
Yeah, I can get them at my grocery store for $30 all day, but it's still crazy. I saw that at Costco, and I almost bought 2 packs just because I was like, this is the best deal of all time. Well,
Costco's too far from me. I can go. There's a place I can go to about 30 minutes. I should just go to Amazon and get them. But anyway, hey, let's quit talking about cherries, man. Let's talk about fantasy football, man. How you doing overall?
Really good. We had a really good slate last night for the Thursday night game, the Colts and Jets. For some reason, I with not having any work this week, I took the vacation for the anniversary, and so I had a lot of time to prep and break down the showdown slate. And we were hammering, like pretty much every lineup I had was captained by Jonathan Taylor. Of course, he was
I'm sure you had Elijah Moore.
Oh yeah, I was. You know how much I love Elijah Moore. So he was one of my, like, I basically predicted his breakout game. I said that my spidey senses tingling. This is the Elijah Moore breakout game. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong, but I just don't think I'm wrong, and I wasn't wrong. I was definitely dead right.
Did you see? And he posted it online. Detroit Beastie actually bet that Elijah Moore would have 2 touchdowns last night.
Yeah, and
I only bet $1 on it.
Yeah, but $42 off $1 is amazing.
I mean, think about that.
But just like what he said, though, is that you only go back and wish you had bet more if you win. Like when you lose $1, you're like, oh well.
But that's the kind of bet you don't give a shit. You know, you throw a buck, you throw $5 on something, and
the odds were so crazy.
You throw the dice.
Yeah, the odds were so crazy, and he had a gut instinct just like I did, and it was a good one. That was a great pick. I wish I could do those player props in California with those lines, because that was a really cool line that he had there at plus 4,200.
Yeah, I liked it too. But anyway, so we got 4 big stacks for tonight. We got the Fuck It stack. We've got the Spendy, aka Second Mortgage stack. We've got the Mega 5 stack, and we've got the Walking Dead stack. I changed the name of that one.
Yeah.
And so I thought for marketing purposes, those 4 stacks would be a lot of fun. I promoted it, and let's give the people what they want. Let's
They
start
want
with
spice.
let's start with the fuck it stack. And when you guys see the fuck it stack, you'll know why we call it that, because it's just nothing to get excited about. But here we go. Let's talk about it. Why don't you talk about each player and what you think is going to happen here?
Yeah, so everybody wants to rag on the Giants' offense. I mean, it's pretty easy. It's
Before I say anything,
yeah,
could the fuck it stack be the Walking Dead stack, vice versa?
Yeah, it really could. What I found, though, is that people still value Daniel Jones in fantasy more than they do for real football.
Fair.
He has a really safe rushing floor every week. His receivers are starting to get a little healthier. I'm not saying he's good. Like, everybody watches Daniel Jones play and they know he's not a good football player. But for what we're looking at, his price, along with some of his weapons getting healthier against a Raiders defense that really isn't that good, especially in the secondary. Except for Casey Hayward, their secondary is terrible. Their rookie safety, Trevon Merrick, is on his way to being a star player, but he's not there yet either. He makes a lot of mistakes. And I think that Daniel Jones is going to have a really high ceiling for this game because the Raiders are going to score on the Giants. And that's a really good recipe for Daniel Jones second half rushing, Daniel Jones second half passing yards and touchdowns. And yeah, he's probably going to turn the ball over a couple of times. That's pretty much a given. But on DraftKings, they don't hurt you that bad. You're looking for all the good that he does. And so if he can get a bunch of good things to happen with this turnover sprinkled in, they're not going to kill you. And then Kadarius Toney being back is a huge help for him because Toney's more generally a lower ADOT guy, but he's so spectacular after the catch that I can see him breaking off some massive plays against the Raiders. I don't like any of the other receivers for New York, so I'll go with the guy.
Shepard?
No, Shepard is hurt all the time, like 100% of the time.
Have you heard anything? Did Golladay practice today?
I don't care. He's never going to play.
I'm selfishly worried about him because I got him on Scott Fishbowl and he's killing me.
Yeah, I would probably never roster Kenny Golladay.
Well, put it this way: I'm playing a guy in the same game over Golladay, and that's going to be Bryan Edwards.
Oh yeah, easily, and that's the guy you can slot into this stack here because I am running it back with Hunter Renfrow.
Yeah,
and yeah, you don't think of Renfrow as a high ceiling guy. The tournament, you usually want to shoot for the guy who's going to have the potential to score 4 or 5 times their points per dollar. And that's great. But Renfrow is a sneaky version of that because there's no Henry Ruggs anymore. And this whole story is tragic, of course.
It's unbelievable.
It's one of the saddest things I've ever heard. And it happened just down the street from where my brother-in-law lives in Vegas, like right down the block. And so I know the area really well, and it's just tragic. Like that whole city is in mourning for the young lady that passed away in that crash.
I mean, gosh, it's just a horrible way.
But in a way, everybody's kind of looking for Bryan Edwards, Zay Jones, who's going to be the new deep threat. And I think that the Raiders are going to still run their same offense. They're going to run it through Waller. They're going to run it through Third and Renfrow. That's his nickname.
Well, it's not like Ruggs was getting 12 targets a game. He wasn't.
No, he was their home run hitter, and he's one of the best in the league at getting deep and burning people. And Derek Carr throws a wonderful deep ball, and he's probably still going to drop some in. So I do like your Bryan Edwards call there. I like a little Zay Jones sprinkled in because he's the same kind of player. But Renfrow is so good at getting open. He's one of the most skilled route runners for short yardage in the league, and he's only 4,800. So I'm going to be hammering some Renfrow because every optimizer I look at, he's at the very top.
Wow. And that's purely price driven.
Price, ownership, everything.
Yeah.
Everything included. He's showing up in a higher percentage of optimal lineups than I would have guessed.
Wow. And that's based on your inputs on the optimizer.
Yeah. All the tools I use are pointing to Hunter Renfrow having a 20-point game.
And what's his price on DraftKings?
48, I think.
Wow. 5x play. That's a 5x play.
Yeah. And he is pulling up at about 15% rostership. I'm not worried about that.
But at that price point, yeah. Well, obviously, people are going to be jumping in on that because of the
Of
Rose
course.
thing. But at that price point, you could play him in cash and tournaments.
And stacked with Daniel Jones and Kadarius Toney, I'm not really worried about chalk too much, am I?
No, not at all. But once again, like you said, you could throw in an Edwards,
Yeah,
or throw in a
Darren Waller is
an Ingram maybe.
Waller is severely underpriced for his potential.
Well, yeah, it's Waller's first game back, right? In a couple games.
His first game back. They are coming off a bye, and I would say he's their best receiver still. I mean, just by
You know what? Now that you bring that up, and we think about this, it would not surprise me if Waller didn't have 12 or more targets.
Yeah. I mean, we've seen what he can do when he gets a team that doesn't defend anybody really well. The Giants don't defend anybody well, so any position. So it's feasible to think that they might pull a repeat of Week 1 against Baltimore, where they just peppered Darren Waller.
Hey, was it you that was telling me about Drake and how Gruden didn't like Drake, but the team the team does, or was that Chris?
I don't know.
It might have been Chris. I just traded away Drake.
That's smart.
Yeah,
because I think Jacobs is a really good play this week in tournaments. I think Jacobs might score 2 touchdowns.
I hear you. So we got the fucking stack: Jones, Toney, Renfro. If you want to mix and match, you could throw Waller.
If you don't feel icky already,
in there. What's that?
If you don't feel icky about it already, that's kind of the name of the show. Is surprisingly spicy stacks. These aren't plays that you're going to feel amazing about. This isn't like you're going out there and just plugging in Patrick Mahomes every week. I mean, yeah, you can do that, and you probably will for the majority of your lineups.
Which is going to be in the second mortgage stack.
Yeah. But it comes down to you have to find the best leverage plays too. You have to be able to diversify your DFS portfolio each week so that you can sprinkle in the random thing that hits really big and is the difference here.
Well, to your point, our whole point is to give people stacks that other people aren't on. There's going to be a lot. There's so many people on the popular stacks. I mean, it doesn't take a rocket scientist to pick the go-to stacks, but
it's more condensed this week too, because there's some really glaring good matchups, and then there's a lot of sneaky good matchups, and that's kind of where I'm starting to edge my way towards. Is there's a lot of optimal stacks that aren't popular at all.
Well, let's go to the spendy stack, which we renamed the second mortgage stack.
Yeah, and you're definitely gonna need one this week.
Here it is.
Yeah, you're gonna have to call your mom and get a loan.
Yeah, you're gonna have to take everything out of the piggy bank on this one.
Yeah, so you're not going to have much left over after the stack, but you might not need to because there's so many value plays this week. And because this stack is, I mean, it's surprisingly not that popular because of you have Lamar Jackson's getting a ton of ownership. You have all kinds of you have Josh Allen getting a ton of ownership. Patrick Mahomes is playing like crap lately. Right. So the Chiefs in general are playing like crap.
Kelsey had his worst game of his career last week.
Perfect.
I know.
I mean, you're going to spend up for the stack, but think about the potential of this game. Like we have all the potential in the world for a shootout here because both defenses are average at best. Kansas City's defense is terrible at best.
They are terrible.
And I think Jordan Love is a capable NFL quarterback, and he's going to have an easier time against the Chiefs than any other team that he's going to face this year.
What do you think Green Bay is going to do in this game? Or you think they're going to give him some short confidence throws to?
Oh yeah, they're
Jones, which I understand why you have Aaron Jones in there, but he doesn't have a reliable tight end to throw to.
He doesn't need one. They're going to keep things concentrated like they have the whole season. Even with Aaron Rodgers, you have pretty much a two-headed monster there in the receiving game. And then if somebody blows coverage and they're wide open, Aaron Rodgers is going to find them. Devontae Adams is going to be fine. But
you think Love is just going to maybe just hit Jones and then Devontae Adams like 20 targets?
I don't know about 20 targets because I think they'll only throw it. I think they're only going to throw like 20, 25 times. I think you're going to see a lot of them trying to control the clock with Jones and Dillon, trying to keep the Chiefs off the field. I don't know that they're going to be successful.
Do you like Dillon this week?
Not really. He's overpriced for what his ceiling is. So unless he scores 2 or 3 touchdowns, I'm not really on him. But it's Aaron Jones this week is a huge target for me because he's going to get 10 catches. I just think that even if he carries the ball 10 times for 60 yards, and he's a walking touchdown. So I have a very high confidence factor in Aaron Jones scoring a touchdown any given week. This one is particular against the Chiefs is just, it's just blinking lights everywhere. Aaron Jones is a smash this week, and he's only coming in at like 7%.
Aaron Jones signature game because I just traded for the guy in my Masters league, and
he's primed right now this week because Jordan Love is not as bad as people think. It's just that you have a huge.
I think he's pretty bad.
No, it's a huge drop off for sure from Rodgers to Love. It's going to be a stark contrast in the playing styles too.
Well, it's a huge drop off from Rodgers to
anybody.
28 of the quarterbacks in the NFL,
right? And that's a given. It's pretty much any team you're going to see a pretty big drop off from their starter to their backup. But Jordan Love has looked pretty decent every chance he's gotten. He hasn't had that terrible game where you're like, ew, what is this guy even doing in the league? You just hear those reports out of camp. You hear everything.
Had a Zach Wilson moment.
Well, he hasn't had the Zach Wilson chance. But he might be just like Mike White or Trevor Siemian, where they put the best game plan in front of Jordan Love. And Mike LaFleur is a very, very good offensive coordinator and coach. So I think they're going to put him in a script, especially the first 15 plays that they're going to write down and game plan for against this Chiefs defense. I don't see very much resistance coming from the Chiefs. So it's a perfect little warm-up game for Jordan Love to get his feet wet and put up some decent numbers. I'm not on him for too much. I'm going to have a little bit of him at 4,400 because it's just too good of a price. But Patrick Mahomes here, 30, 35, 40-point upside. Kelsey and Hill, same thing. Like you're going to spend $8,000 for each one of these pieces, except Kelsey's only $7,000 flat. And the Packers aren't that good on defense. People think they're good, but they're not. They're simply average at best on defense. And this is going to be a shootout.
You play Kelsey every single week we play.
Well,
and you've won most of them.
It usually works. But he's severely overdue. If anybody, the one person who knows that more than anybody is, Andy Reid. Andy Reid's going to be watching the tape going, man, we need to get Kelsey back involved because this whole Tyreek Hill 10 target thing, it isn't helping them. They're kind of just taking what the defense gives them.
I'm afraid you're right. And in the Kelsey thing last week and that fumble in the fourth quarter,
he just wasn't involved until then.
That was one of the most unusual game plans or game executions.
Yeah.
Everything happens under duress. We all know this.
Mm-hmm.
But that was one of the most unusual things I've seen in all my time watching the Mahomes era Chiefs. And Kelsey to be that missed, that forgotten, and then that bad it's almost like a setup. I think this could be a crazy. I like this stack so much. You're probably going to see it a lot. And but I mean, his price dropped to $7,000, huh?
Yeah, 7,000 for Kelsey. And in tournament play, I don't care about what he did. I only care about what he's capable of. And he's capable of being like a top 5 wide receiver as far as points scored.
I'll make a wager, and I know you're not going to take the wager because you're on him. I bet he has 8 catches or more, 100 yards, and 2 touchdowns.
I would love that.
I think Kelsey's going to eat like crazy this week. And so anyway, that's you know me, I get a little excited.
I'm all for it.
You get me. I'm here for it, man. But that's the second mortgage stack. Aaron Jones, Tyreek Hill, Kelsey, Mahomes, 4 guys. What are you going to have left when you spend that?
Not a whole hell of a lot.
Like 5.5 a player.
Yeah, but when you're going to have to spend down on defense for this one, and I'm actually not opposed. Yeah, but I'm some like last 2 weeks I've spent up pretty successfully on defense. Not extremely high, like not to the top of the board, but mid-price defenses the last couple of weeks have been optimal. But yeah, in general, you're spending under 3,000 for a defense, so it's not a huge. You're not really too constricted because of how many value plays there are this week. we're looking at so many guys that are getting good opportunities with a really low salary this week that I'm not afraid to go super, super expensive for the highest ceiling players that are in really good matchups. It's just kind of what it's telling me the direction to go. Is just saying, hey, these guys, you're going to want to play them because they're going to go off, and you're going to have to figure out what to do with the rest of your money. It's not going to be, you're going to have little pieces of lint from your pocket left over.
Well, like we were talking about earlier, Tony, Renfro, Edwards, there's a lot of players that are very, very low that you could put in that are in really hot positions this week. And so that's a great point.
And some of them are still under like 5% rostership expected. Right. So I'm looking at them going, I'm just going to keep my mouth shut on some of these plays because
I hear you. But if there was ever let's just say this, if there was ever a stars and scrubs week, this could be it.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So that was the second mortgage stack. You ready to go to the Mega 5 stack? This is a huge stack. 5 of the 8 is all from one game.
Game stack, baby. Oh, yeah. I mean, what's not to love? This is another kind of a second mortgage stack. Not quite as expensive per player pricing-wise because Lamar's priced down. But Lamar's priced down, and he's getting a lot of chalk because of it. But he's still the best play on the board here. Like if you're saying who is going to score the most points in Week 9, it's going to be Lamar Jackson. It's pretty simple to say. Lamar Jackson is going to score 30-plus points pretty much automatically with the potential for a whole hell of a lot more against the Vikings defense. This is going to be a back-and-forth game. I'm hoping the Vikings can keep up.
Me too.
If they do, if the Vikings can keep up, which I think is pretty possible. The Ravens defense is still spotty at best. They're stout up front, but then they get burned so many times. I'm looking at these wide receivers for the Vikings, Jefferson and Thielen, their matchups, and going, I'm just like, this is crazy because Baltimore's secondary is banged up. They can't cover anybody. And these are two of the best wide receivers in the league running on the same team. It's scary. But Andrews and Hollywood against this Viking secondary is just love it. I love their salaries are low. Hollywood's only around 6,000. Andrews 55. Lamar down at 74 is insane. I'll eat all that chalk for. I mean, even if he's 20%, I'll be like, he's going to score the most points. So why wouldn't I play him?
Well, that's what you want. You got to hope you get those other value plays that you can plug in there that nobody else is playing. That's how you win these things.
Well, that's kind of thing is people think too much about chalk and they'll go away from the best play because it's gonna be too popular. It's like no, 20%.
Same with Captain Showdowns. People overthink that shit.
Yeah, that's like I've called my top captain pick in Showdown slate has scored a touchdown in 6 straight games.
I've noticed that.
Yeah, so I mean, don't overthink it, guys. The best players are going to score the most points, and they're probably not as popular as you think.
Your 5th and 6th and 7th player that you got to pick that are the ones that are going to win your game, win you money.
Yeah, and I want all the studs in this game on the Baltimore side just because they're valuable.
I think you got them.
Yeah, I mean, Rashad Bateman is kind of over. He's a little bit overexposed this week,
but he's also the news came out today that he's questionable.
Yeah, I think he'll be fine, but he's picking up way too much popularity for me. For what his ceiling isn't quite as high as Hollywood because Hollywood's been an established part of this offense. Mark Andrews, same thing.
Right.
Bateman's picking up a lot of steam for good reason. He's a great young player, but I think in this game it's going to be a whole lot of studs putting up huge numbers and Jefferson Cook on the one side. I just can't wait to see what the Vikings do against the Ravens to keep up with Lamar because Lamar is going to be going scorched earth.
I got a real quick question, kind of related. If you had to pick a player for Dynasty between Dalvin Cook and Aaron Jones, who are you taking?
They're about the same age. I think Cook's a little older. Less injury history for Jones. It's still got to be Cook, though. Cook's just too good.
I think Jones. I had that choice.
It's a really close one. I think they're both incredible backs. They're both over 25.
I took Jones because he's so much more involved in the passing game.
But for now, and he's not as heavily involved overall in the offense, they won't give Aaron Jones a full workload ever. They keep time after time. You see the Packers prioritize away from Aaron Jones, and even though he's one of the best running backs in the league, You're never going to give Aaron Jones a full workload, even though he deserves one, because every time you put him on the field,
at the
he
end of the
does big
season, he's
things.
top 3, top 4.
Right. Yeah. And Dalvin is going to be there, and he's going to get the volume, and he eliminates Alexander Madison's relevance just by being on the field. And you don't get that with very many other running backs where their backup. Your backup's not even relevant to how good Dalvin Cook is.
Okay, so you got 5 guys in this game. You're filling it in with value plays.
Game stack, baby.
And so that's a hell of a stack. I mean, you're right. You could honestly put that in the spendy stack if you had to.
Yeah. I think it's just because it's the sheer amount of players, and they're all really good players. So it's not quite as spendy
there's
on
no
a per player
right
basis. But yeah, with the 4 players that you're going to be filling in around, or the defense and 3 other players you're going to put in around them, you're going to have to be pretty frugal.
Hey, remember that time like 4 weeks ago when you said you think Bateman's the best rookie wide receiver in this year's draft? And
I just said he was just as good as Jamar Chase at football.
Yeah. Okay. Well,
I said for fantasy, Jamar Chase is better, but
Bateman. I will make the argument that Jamar Chase is better in fantasy and real football, but jury's out on that one.
Well, I can't say you're wrong, because Jamar Chase is amazing, and you know that I love Jamar Chase. I just think that there's not as big of a gap in ability as the gap in stats right now.
I will say this: after you said that, I started paying a whole lot more attention to Bateman.
He's good.
And I actually went out shopping, and I picked up
you got a couple shares.
I got a few shares, and so I'm hoping you're right, because I did not see what you saw, but I like your eye better than mine, and so that's why I'm the host, and that's why you're the expert. But I did go buy a few extra shares of Bateman, and so I'm hoping it pays off, especially this week, because I got him in Fishbowl.
Yeah, I acquired Bateman in Dynasty. I have a bunch of them. Obviously, I'm huge on him. This whole receiver class, like the 2020 and 2021 wide receiver classes, are 2 of the best of all time. And last year, remember, we had, obviously, Jefferson had a historic season.
I picked him number 1.
But the other guys started the second half of the season. They started getting more work.
And Judy. I mean, there's so many good players from last year.
Think about the depth of talent last year. That most of them, they started really.
Was it Debo last year?
No, Ayuk is the rookie last year.
No,
Debo was
the year before. So this is year 3 for Debo.
Yeah,
that's right. You're right.
Yeah, so Ayuk last year blew up in the second half when Debo was hurt, and everybody else, he was the only guy there. Kittle was hurt, and the whole class pretty much in the second half of the season dominated. They got their feet underneath them the first 7 or 8 games. And we're at that time of year now where some of these rookies that haven't quite put it together quite yet from injuries or otherwise, that's what told me to play Elijah Moore last night. Was say, hey, this guy's too good, and they're starting to work him into the offense more. He's got a much bigger role coming for the second half, and the Colts defense, the secondary especially, is just tattered with injuries. And I was like, this is great. I know how good Elijah Moore is. I've seen him play a bunch of times, and he's gifted. He's up there with Bateman and Chase as far as football playing ability. And they threw it to him a bunch last night.
They sure figured it out.
He's amazing. And that's the same thing goes with all these other rookies, wide receivers at the top of the 21 classes. They're just so good that you have to expect a lot of them to really take off in the second half.
Yep, I hear you. Cool. All right, you ready to go to the Walking Dead stack, which is the new name for Left 4 Dead?
Yeah.
So let's do that, because there's a lot of controversy around this game and what's happened over the week, as you know. Yeah. But let's just go right into it.
We love drama.
Cleveland Browns. Nothing non-dramatic about the Browns, right?
No, they got to be in the storylines.
And the aforementioned Chase is in this one.
Well, of course, he's just a smash play this week, and most weeks. Really, you can't overlook Jamar Chase anymore. But he's an
instant plug and play.
Guess what? He's being overlooked this week because of all the other shiny matchups. Is this battle for Ohio is completely overlooked? Like, nobody cares about this game unless you're an AFC North fan. Nobody cares about this game.
That's why it's the Walking Dead.
Well, and plus, how many, like, you have your 2 sides of the Cleveland Browns argument, or 3 sides actually. It's Baker Mayfield's the problem. Odell Beckham was a problem, or they both suck and they're both a problem. I think that Baker Mayfield is a decent quarterback. He's got a lot of talent. He's just not. He doesn't put it all
doesn't
together.
throw the ball.
No, he doesn't need to. This team runs the crap out of the ball, and they do it well. But this week is going to be different. This game usually hits a higher total than the rest of these divisional rivalries do, because usually the defenses suck. And I think that what you're going to see is Baker Mayfield kind of towards the end of last year when they were out without Odell Beckham, as that offense took off. And Jarvis Landry was a huge part of that. And Jarvis Landry is another one of those plays that I couldn't ignore at the top of every optimizer I used. Every tool I used is just blinking, flashing strobe lights. Play Jarvis Landry this week, especially at his value. And Baker Mayfield is just so cheap that I don't care if he gets less, just under 20 points. Is if I'm stacking him with Nick Chubb, who's a threat to go to the house at every carry, and Jarvis Landry is going to have 10 catches for 80 yards and might score a touchdown, I'll take that at his price. And then you have Jamar Chase, who's got the highest ceiling of pretty much any wide receiver out there. Okay, yeah, I'll take all that value and more.
I hear you, bro.
It's like I don't have to love these players. I don't usually like playing any of these guys except for Chubb and Chase, but you have to. You can't ignore good value when you see it. And nobody's going to be on Baker Mayfield. Nobody's going to be on Baker Mayfield.
No, because he hasn't been throwing the ball, and now he loses. Like, to your point, I mean, he loses. I mean, he didn't lose anybody because he wasn't throwing the ball to him anyway. But he's not on the field.
He was wide open, but I think Baker Mayfield just didn't have good chemistry with Odell Beckham from the beginning.
Hey, who put that article out today saying, not an article, but I think I saw a couple of tweets saying that about the slant. He runs the slant better than anybody in the NFL. Do you believe that shit?
I mean, if you watch the tape, Odell Beckham is still one of the most gifted route runners in the league. Right. But guess what goes farther than anything in the NFL is chemistry between teammates, especially between quarterback and wide receiver.
Amen, brother. Amen.
Baker Mayfield and Odell Beckham are both extremely gifted athletes that are at the top of their craft. They don't get along together in the same offense. They just haven't. They haven't since the beginning. And so, you have such a very important connection that never really got together. So of course the Browns are going to cut the guy who's disgruntled. It makes no sense otherwise.
The funny thing is everybody's talking about who's going to get him, and of course I think the Saints makes the most sense. He's from Louisiana. They just lost Michael Thomas for the year. Tre'Quan Smith's their best player.
They can't afford it.
But you know what, man, and he wouldn't be an idiot to go back to the Giants, man. Danny Dimes, he could use a guy like that. But I know it's not going to happen, and they're not a player, and they're not in contention. But he was the king of New York.
I think he's going to Seattle.
Huh?
I think he's going to Seattle.
Well, no, he ain't going to Seattle.
I think he's going to Seattle.
No, come on, Bo. Come on. Mountain Dew on that one, bro.
Rest in peace to Freddie Swain when that happens.
Hardly knew yet. Well, maybe not. Maybe these coaches aren't so dumb, and they see these guys every day. They know what they're really like. We all like to think we know what we're seeing, but we only see a small amount of what these coaches see.
Right.
And it cracks me up how so many people on Twitter and Facebook and these other places, they think they know more than the coaches do, but they don't. We don't. We see so many small fragments of what they can do versus how they interact and the culture of that player in practice, et cetera, and meetings and all that.
Yeah. To put a bow on this one, Baker Mayfield is the same price this week as Trevor Siemian, and he's pulling 1% ownership.
Right.
So take that for what it is. 1% ownership on a guy who's 5,400 and still has pretty good weapons around him, still has a top flight running back behind him, a great offensive line in front of him, a great play caller in his ear. You can't ignore that. The Bengals defense is kind of overrated.
So I mean, obviously we're on our last stack, but I want to talk about what you just said. Trevor Siemian. Do you think he's going to get 100% of the snaps, or do you think they're going to split him with Taysom Hill? Like they did with Breeze. Because Taysom Hill's cleared. He's been practicing too.
Yeah, but his concussion was so severe that they're going to be careful with him. I think that even though he's medically cleared, they're going to work him back in slowly, especially for that Swiss Army knife role.
Maybe
I think
one
they're going
more
to
week, especially if
they're going to scale back his
look like
special
shit.
team. His special team snaps are going to have to come down because he's just a high throttle player that is
if
so
they play
physical.
him at special teams and not quarterback, they're fucking idiots, right?
Right. Yeah. And he's so much of a better quarterback. I mean, he's not great, but he's better than Trevor Siemian by a long shot.
I mean, at least he's a double threat versus Siemian, who's like almost like a statue out there.
Honestly, I really hope they don't play Hill at all this week because I want Kamara to score.
Amen, brother. I'm in the same boat.
Because as soon as Taysom Hill is the starting quarterback for the Saints, Alvin Kamara goes from running back 1 every week to an RB2 at best.
I agree totally. Now he did last year a lot, and that was because, well,
he scored 6 touchdowns in a game. That helps a lot.
And that game was so beautiful. I'll never forget that game for the rest of my life. But I will say that when it wasn't expected, it happened. When it was expected, it didn't. But it's a different game with Breeze. And by the way, what beautiful hair Breeze has now, huh?
Yeah. Miracles of modern science.
It's a miracle. But so anyway, Chubb, I want to talk briefly about Chubb real quick. We still got plenty of time here.
Oh, yeah.
What's your thoughts on what's going on with that running stable? Obviously, Hunt's out now. Chubb's back. Dearness Thomas still looks good. He got in the end zone last week. He's cheap. What's going to happen there this weekend? I mean, obviously you're picking Chubb for a reason. You know what? This could be a Chubb blow up game. That's why I like this play.
Oh, and at 6,800, Nick Chubb is way too good for that.
$6,800.
Yeah, I'll take that. I'll take him twice at that price for real. The Bengals can't stop the run, and Nick Chubb is very good. He's one of the best ability running backs in the league. Now that Derrick Henry's out, he's probably top 3 as far as running back ability. And yes, Dearness Johnson did score a touchdown last week, but he only had 5 touches. That tells me that he's not Kareem Hunt, because Kareem Hunt and Nick Chubb were in a 60-40 split.
Right.
And I'll take a Nick Chubb 70-30 or 80-20 or a 90-10 like it was last week.
Yeah,
give me the 90-10.
If you get 90-10 this week against the Cincinnati Bengals, Chubb might be the RB1.
He's looking pretty good on all the tools I'm looking at. So I'm
I'm taking it all in because I know that you're going to be sending me the invite here in a few minutes.
Yeah, I do want to address that because you finally beat me, and I'm really happy for you.
All right, go ahead and gloat a little bit. Gloat on the week that I win. Go ahead.
Why would I gloat that I lost?
Well. Let me tell you something. Let me tell you the way I look at this.
I got time.
It was my second win, but the way I look at it is, very good, very well. You pay close attention because pride's more important than money to you, just like me, because we're not doing this for money.
No.
That there's 2 weeks, those 2 weeks back to back, you only won by default bullshit. Well, I believe that technically we're 4-4. Okay. The numbers say 2 and 6. Yeah. I'm going with 4-4.
I think you pulled a hammy trying to make that leap there because the games that I lost, I also lost pretty much my entire roster to injury.
Oh, shut the fuck up, man!
Your first win was when I had it was like Daniel Jones.
I want to hear it. I scored 150 something points. You know what? The way I look
last
at
week
it,
was your
3x my money.
Last week was your first legit win.
All right, Bo. You know what we should do?
Now I'm just pressing buttons.
Let me fix my shirt.
Are you gonna take your earrings off?
Maybe we should start. Maybe we should
rumble?
start like posting the scores.
Yeah, I'm all for it because they're gonna see what you were averaging 115 points a week before last week. I think that's why you lost.
You know what? Well, you can't really talk because a lot of our games have been.
Mine were barely more.
Been like the. How do I don't want to go politically incorrect here, but all right, I'll just use this word. Neither one of us are the tallest mountain in Iowa.
No, that's true. We're basically the tallest corn stalks.
Neither one of us have actually been rocking the world. None of us have even come close to 200.
No,
Ever.
it's been wild because in some of my other head-to-heads, because I love playing head-to-head, I'll go head-to-head with anybody. And some of the matchups, the clash of the beards and bellies with Scott Simpson, we're playing like 170 to 160, 190 to 180, and I'm like, and then I'm looking at our matchup because I don't play the same head-to-head matchups for each
because
person.
you're going all crazy with Scott because he's unpredictable, and so I'm playing more of a cash lineup. You're playing more of a cash lineup, but we're modifying it. But yeah.
Right. And for both of us this season, what we've been trying to do against one another just simply hasn't worked. And the battle of futility each week just happens to be
terrible.
It's been really ugly. And so, up until now, I probably didn't want to post the scores, even win or lose. I was just like, I won, but man, it was ugly. Yeah, that's good game. Yeah. And you finally put it all together last week, and
you're gonna have a Mountain Dew truck back up to your house. You're gonna hear the beeping, boop, boop, boop. and I'm gonna be like, dump it all.
Yeah, this one's for you.
But anyway, you know what? I'm modifying my strategy a little bit, and I'm going to go more to a GPP fuck it stack style. I'm going to combine a fuck it stack with a Walking Dead stack, and try to surprise you a little bit.
Okay.
But because there's nothing I want to do more than to beat you with your own content.
Hey, that's flattering to me, actually. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Yeah, and I just hope that what I do is going to be more successful than it has been, but with the same result.
So anyway, talk about those results a little bit. I know we're done with our stacks, but I want you to talk a little about what you've been doing, because you've got some pretty impressive numbers that you've been putting out from. And I know you alluded to it a little earlier to the showdown, the captain showdowns, and some of the other plays that you've been promoting on some of your other sites, including Ball Blast and some of the others. You're actually putting out a lot of winning content. And, and I'm not trying to float your boat here, but that's pretty cool. Brag a little bit about it.
I'll going. Right? It sounds good to me. But no, we've been very fortunate this year. The plays have been really sharp. Have just been getting better and better as the season goes along. That's really what you, as a DFS player, just as a casual player, even, you just want to get better with every week. You want every slate to be a new.
You want to make sure your process is right.
Well, yeah, and I think that you want to establish your process the first few weeks, and then you want to sharpen your process as you go along for the rest of the season. And what we've seen is that we're coming up aces more often than not because we're not overthinking it. We're not trying to get cute. I mean, there's no reason to get cute on a one game slate, especially. It's like, who the players are. There's only so many to pick from. The strategy plays a lot into it. It's like, okay, like last night's game, so many guys scored huge amount of points, but which one scored the most points? Which one scored the most points per dollar?
That's the big one.
Yeah, and sometimes that's not the case. Sometimes you're looking at a game that's pretty lean on star players. Last night was pretty good as far as like what you can get for your money, and so it just came down to, okay, who's going to score the most points? And lucky for me is I had a bunch of lineups with both Colts running backs, and that was what won it for me.
Oh, you had Hines in there too?
I had most of my lineups were JT in the captain spot, and then I had Hines as a flex with Elijah Moore and everybody else. And then but I had a lineup that was probably my best lineup was a Hines captain pick because I was spent down at captain. I could afford another. I could afford Elijah,
you bulked up.
Yeah, I pretty much just went studs on the rest of them. And Jack Doyle, one catch for one touchdown was the final straw, so that helped out. But it was just, it's just coming down to looking at especially a single game slate like that, is you just don't want to overthink it. Like this game's supposed to be easy. You're looking at it going, okay, you should be able to score a decent amount of points, and if you get lucky, you can score a bunch of points and win some good money. put yourself in the best position to hit the nuts.
Sounds easy to me.
Yeah,
But you've been hitting it, and you're it's really exciting watching your followers post their winnings.
Yeah, I like that too.
In seeing the statistics that you're actually putting out, and it's all documented, and it's really cool.
I'm still just blown away at like how many people just read my stuff, or how many people pay to get access to the work I do. It blows my mind every week. It's just
well, the fact is you work hard, and it shows, and you're putting it out there, and there's so many places out there to get content from. It's ridiculous how many places are out there to get content.
That's why I'm so like blown away by it. It's like you can like actually,
right, because your shit ain't free. That's like people should be really watching this show because you're right on this show. This shit is real, and it's you live, and you're talking about it.
Yeah, and it's not like I'm hiding anything. I don't save anything for my premium content, but the premium content is just more in depth. It's taking more of my time to create the stuff that people really, really want to get down and dirty with.
Right. Well, you're giving them you're giving them everything, and
I'd say if they can find it themselves and in a reasonable amount of time, it should be free. Like if you're just looking for data and you're looking for certain surface level players, all that stuff should be free because anybody can access it. But if it's something that it's going to take you more time than it's worth to go and research it yourself and build it out yourself, and you can pay $10 to get somebody to do it for you, that's pretty much what it's all about.
Give it hell. Hey, I want to change subjects before we get off the air here. I put on Twitter yesterday a picture of some ribs.
Yeah, those ribs are fantastic looking.
I trimmed them up competition style. I hit them on the back after I pulled the membrane off. I hit them with the Amigo rub, your Amigo rub. I flipped them over, hit them with your Amigo rub. I let them rest for 40 minutes, room temperature.
Nice.
Let them sweat.
They were pull apart.
Really let that rub start permeating into the meat. And then I went and got that little tailgater grill going in the backyard, did some fishing, and came back. I put those ribs on, and I'm telling you, the color of that rub, that Amigo rub. And I know that we were texting back and forth, and you were talking about this rub or this rub, and unfortunately, I used all the other rubs, and so Amigo was all I had. And so, but it's got those big chunks of salt in them. That's all I want is salt, some pepper. I've smelt the paprika, and so you had all the things I wanted for barbecue. And so I'm just saying that by the time I finished cooking those ribs, I mean, I put them on that smoker, that little smoker. It was a tiny smoker. It was a tailgater.
Yeah.
They smoked for about 3 hours. 3.5 hours on that little thing. Took them off, wrapped them, finished them in the oven at like 300 because my son had to go to work and I wanted him to get the ribs before we went.
It's the same effect once you wrap it anyway.
It doesn't matter. You know, smoke.
You just need the heat. Anyway. You need the heat around it. Yeah,
exactly. And a lot of people need to know this. Hey, look, pro tip: if you're smoking food and you wrap your brisket, you wrap your pork, you wrap your ribs, whatever. You don't have to keep burning your smoker fuel. Put that shit in the oven. Finish it.
Yeah, because once you wrap it, you're steaming it.
The whole point is you don't.
It's basically a baked potato that's got smoke on it now.
You don't need smoking. I see so many people. Hey, I wrapped it up, put it back in the smoker. I'm like, you don't need to do that. You're burning wood. You're burning pellets. You're burning gas. Whatever you're burning, you don't need to do that. Put it in your freaking oven, and finish it off. Yeah. But anyway, I digress. So I pulled it off. Pulled them out of the foil. Oh my God, the bone pull was beautiful. I hit the little juice. Now I will be honest, when I put my foil down, I hit it with some honey.
Yep.
And I hit it on the back, on bone side, I hit it with a little bit of maple syrup.
Yeah.
Wrap that thing up, tightened it up, let it finish, pulled it off, cut them up, glazed them, put them back in the oven to let it tack up for about 10 minutes.
Yep.
Pulled them out, cut them up. I'm telling you, man, you saw the color.
Oh, it's gorgeous.
My boys who have been with me forever since A Fine Swine and all that stuff, they were like, Dad, I don't know what you did. I don't know how you did it, but these ribs are better than what you've ever done. And I'm telling you guys, it was that sweet and salty sauce with the savory rub, the Amigo rub. And so anyway, the long story short is that rub is amazing. The chunks of salt, dissolve with the paprika and the peppers and all the other spices you have in there. I don't know why you call it Amigo. It should be called Barbecue Championship Rub. I don't know, but it was amazing. And I'm telling you, Bo, congratulations on another award-winning product, man.
Thank you. And yeah, Amigo is really just an all-purpose seasoning. So yeah, it goes well with barbecue because it's got the paprika and brown sugar in it. But you're still salt, pepper, garlic. That's the holy trinity of barbecue seasoning is just salt, pepper, garlic. So you can get away with pretty much anything if it's got salt, pepper, and garlic in it. But Amigo is just it's got the same base ingredients as the Smoke Shack barbecue rub that I sell on Big Time Flavor,
which is really good. I used all mine up because you said, "Why don't you use the Smoke Shack?" I don't have any more. I guess I need to get online and order
through it. But the Smoke Shack is just more complex. There's more ingredients to tie it all together for the purpose of barbecuing. But a lot of times when you're barbecuing, as you know, is the simpler the better. And
hey,
there's something to be said about Amigo's simplicity that can bring things together and let the meat shine, because pork tastes good by itself. It doesn't need a whole lot of help. But that color, the paprika doesn't provide much more than aroma and color, but it sure makes it pretty, doesn't it?
And for those of you that did not see it, go to Hammerjacks, my website, my Twitter at Hammerjacks1, and I got some pictures on there. Legit 100% Amigo rub from Bo, and I've cooked. And I'm not even being sarcastic. I've probably cooked over 20,000 racks of ribs, maybe more in my life.
I would guess more.
And with 3 restaurants for 5 years, all my competition years, all of that stuff. And I will say, it was right there, bro. I do believe that I could win consistently with that rub alone. Now, don't get me wrong. I know how to cook ribs, and I know how to do all the things that a lot of people don't know how to do.
There's a lot of technique involved, but the foundation.
I could go to a competition where you have to cook 4 meats. You have to cook barbecue. You have to cook pork. You have to cook brisket. You have to cook ribs and chicken, and that's how it works. You got to score between all 4 of them, and I believe I could place top 10 overall using nothing but that rub. That's on all 4 meats. All 4.
Amazing.
All 4.
Yeah, when you told me that yesterday, I was just like blown away because I was like, this is not just anybody telling me this. This is a 6-time grand champion.
6-time grand champion and multi-state champion. Yeah, but I've been on every stage in America. Kansas City American Royal, the Memphis and May World Championship, 4th place. The Jack Daniels World Championship, 6th place overall. Nice. I've been on every stage you can be on, and I'm telling you, I could take that rub and beat half the people in this country with it. And so you're very, very proud of what you've put together, and I'm grateful that you're.
I'm just happy that you enjoyed it, and that a lot of other people are getting to enjoy it by ordering from the site, and just
tell them again, Hotbox Batch.
Hotboxbatch.com is still a domain I own, so it does reroute to the bigtimeflavor.co site,
right?
Where you get all the products. But like you said, the Smoke Shack, you ran out of it, so I'll take that as a testament to its flavor.
I use it. I use that as a condiment, man.
And then, but yeah, for me, I use a lot of the products for when I cook ribs. I do the same competition style. I trim them up nice and square, bunch them in tight so they get the bone sticking out. And then I do my binder instead of the yellow mustard, which is traditional. I do the Hotbox hot sauce as my binder because it doesn't impart flavor, but it imparts it lets the rub stick and it tightens it up.
You want me to give you a little pro tip?
Yeah.
When you cook your ribs, when you're getting ready to wrap them, okay, if you want to wrap them a little sooner and the bone pull isn't quite where you want it to be, but you got to do something, you take those ribs out. You take a wooden spoon, just a little wooden rod, the dowel rod, and you can literally flip those things over on the back side, and you can take that little piece of wood and you kind of press between each one and push it down on between every bone, and that starts the pull process for you. And that way, when you wrap them, they're all going to pull down evenly, and so you get that perfect spread across.
Oh, that is nice. So you
because what it does,
give
it
a
breaks that
press.
little tendon. It breaks that
Yeah.
little tendon across.
Yeah, so when it breaks down in the cooking process, it's you're moving in the right direction already.
Absolutely,
that's a great tip.
Because appearance is beautiful. When you see that bone right there and it's clean, and then also when you take them out when you're done, they got a little bit of that black goop on them all. You just take a paper towel and you wipe them all off, and then you put your glaze and you flip them over glaze, and then you put them in the smoker to tack it up.
Yep.
You're going to have a world championship looking rack of ribs when you do it that way, because they're going to have the bone pull evenly. They're going to be clean, and that all people are going to see is that glaze and that beautiful white bone.
Yeah, they like to see those clean teeth all even.
Yeah, I'll send you a couple of pictures of how those ribs look when they're supposed to look that way. So
yeah, I'll send you a couple of mine too, because I learned some of those tricks along the way too.
Yeah.
The wooden spoon thing I hadn't heard, but I've heard of like doing this. Is the same reason a lot
you
of
can
people
do it with your finger. I mean, it don't matter.
But like some people pull the membrane off the back, the silver skin, and some people leave it. Yeah, some people leave it because it's just in the way. Really,
you don't want it.
No,
you don't want it.
And
if you're going to leave it, if you don't want to pull it, take a knife and score it diagonally, and it'll burn up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But and that's just for cosmetic reasons, like competition. It's like you're getting judged on smell and vision before it even hits their tongue. Mm-hmm. And so you have to be able to impress them and make them already crave it for scoring high when it hits their tongue.
Well, they're going to really want it.
Yeah. You have to make them go, oh man, I can't wait to try this.
That's exactly right. And that's what they say at the KCBS meetings for all these competitions. And so, you get it. You need to be competing yourself. I'd love to see you out there. Maybe, you know what? People don't know this yet. I sold out. I'm no longer a fine swine barbecue. I'm no longer in a food truck business. I'm no longer in any kind of food business. I sold out. I'm done. And I'm about to go into corporate recruiting. Nice. And that means I'm going to have weekends free again.
All right.
And what I'm thinking about doing is building another competition trailer with a true stick burning outlaw.
Nice.
And what I would love to do is once I get the thing rolling next year, I need to have you out and cook a competition with me.
That'd be awesome.
And we'll videotape the whole fucking thing.
Oh yeah, you got to document it. You got to.
How much fun would that be? Would you be open to doing a week like that?
Oh yeah. Yeah, you just give me a time and date, and I'll make sure I'm there.
And we'll do a big one. It won't be like some bum shit competition. We'll do one in Kansas City or Memphis or Nashville or something big, and St. Louis, and we'll do a big competition. You'll be right there with me. We'll do.
Well, you know how I am. I'm a little bit competitive, so we're gonna want to take the son of a bitch down.
Well, trust me. You will. You have not seen anything until you've seen me in a competition. I am hardcore, and there's no sleep. It's all work, and it's all strategy, and there's every single little detail from exactly how to trim, how to spritz, what time to do this. My timelines are 6 pages long. My timelines for barbecue are more extensive than Chris Robbins' notes for DFS.
That's impressive because his notes are legendary.
But yeah, I would love to have you out there. Number one, because we could have so much fun because we would just have fun. But number two is I would love to pick your brain on food. It's because I believe you're as good as any chef I've met, and I would love to show you what I can do, and show you a true competition point of view. And so I think it will be a lot of fun. Let me work on my side, and then I'll let you know some dates next year because I think that would be an epic video.
That sounds like a hell of a time.
Cool. And we get Simpson out there for one day.
Yeah, well, I mean, even if he doesn't make it, I think that before and after the competition, we might have to make a little trip to Kentucky for a little bit of,
Oh, you know what? And there's a few trips out in Kentucky, in Bardstown, Loretto, a bunch of the barbecue, the bourbon companies. They're all about the barbecue competitions at their places. And so, maybe we do that.
Yeah. I mean, I can't think of anything that fits us better.
No, it'll be awesome. So anyway, well, Bo, thanks for the show. We've just hit we're right at an hour.
Almost like we planned it like that.
I'm grateful for the show. I'm grateful for your insights. I'm grateful for you being part of this, and I look forward to the rubber match this week. Hot box batch, guys. Get your rubs. Do anything you can. Go to Hot Box Batch. Go to Flavor Co. and get your rubs and sauces. This guy's got the shit going on right, and we'll talk next week.
Yes, sir.
All right, man. Peace out, man.
Have a good night.
Did you get all that? If not, make sure you head over to Hammercast